Good evening. Hi, my lovely babies. Always remember, I love you because I love myself. And we do need to talk about learning your constitutional rights and learning about your amendments and the few laws that we do have to protect ourselves when we get pulled over. I have probably felt and been harassed by the police maybe 3 times in my life. My first encounter has been when I was living across the bridge, and they was just wrong when they asked me for my ID and I live in that house. So that's just a no-go. You don't show up to someone's house, knock on the door, and ask for your ID. No, you don't do that. Never heard of it. Don't seems right to me. Just seems just awkward. Another time I can remember, I at least got followed for like at least a mile or two before they decided to pull me over, and they said that I did not properly make a left turn or didn't stop at the stop sign, but you followed me for quite a while before really doing anything. So that was suspicious. You don't follow someone for a mile or 2, 3 miles and then decide to pull them over as soon as they commit the crime or, commit that warning. Whatever it is, you address it right away. You don't be creepy and you just like follow anyone. Just know. The third has happened most recently, and pretty much they did a unreasonable search. They didn't seizure anything, or search and seizure. They didn't seizure anything, but they did a unreasonable search. And the guy literally had the nerve to say, because they had they seen plastic bags, that was their suspicion to search the vehicle. First of all, if you have a rental car, it's Memorial Weekend, and you're traveling, you're going to have bags. Like literally, people stop and go to the store to gather their snacks. Some people pack their bags in bags. And again, you probably have a suitcase or just luggage pretty much. On top of that, groceries, because that's the easiest way to have snacks. So again, it was a warning. All of those issues ended up getting a warning because I feel like it was unprofessional, improper, unethical. The reason why they started this interaction with me as a citizen or my surroundings. It is very common that police officers abuse their power, or they see people of color, of mixed color, and they think it's okay to harass us or abuse our rights. And it's really not okay. Back in the day and even now, they're still considered slave catchers. And it's just what it is. There's some friendly slave catchers. There's some good cops, bad cops. There's people doing their job. There's people that's abusing their job. They're here to keep the peace between the citizens and the government officials. Almost nothing more, nothing less. They're trying to sit here and uphold the law, but they barely keep up with the laws that are being changed on a daily basis. So they should really go through training once a year, and not gun training to see how great of a shooter you are, because you're executing, or you have been executing, many different people over the past decade. It has kind of came down a little bit, but it's still not changing the difference that some of these people have been taught to over profile Americans, African Americans to be exact. And there's a lovely article. Let's figure out. There's a lovely article from this website called npr.org, written by Keane and Nguyen, Mr. Nguyen. And it simply states, if you're stopped by the police, you have rights to protect you. And this is what you should remember. You should remember and familiarize yourself with the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, the right to protest peacefully. So, with all due respect to their badge and to their employer, you have the right to protest and stand up for yourself against their actions that you may feel that is wrong. If you feel like you did wrong and you feel like they have the right to continue to do their job, go ahead and admit that you were wrong. Accountability, responsibility is very healthy for the mind and body, and it makes their job even easier. And you are allowed to record interactions with the police as long as they are not directly interfering with what the police are trying to do and say. So again, I don't see why recording will interfere with what they're doing, because at the end of the day, if it is interfering, they're probably doing something they shouldn't do or shouldn't say, and they don't want to document it. Always make sure you get their first and last name, you get their badge number, and if you have any issues, you make sure you make a report with their captain or their sergeant or their lieutenant. And even if you feel so, make sure you get your criminal lawyer, because they can harass us just like they might think that we assaulted them. They can assault us too. So that's one thing. Remember your First Amendment. Remember to always record your interactions with them. Secondly, remember your Fourth Amendment. It protects you from unreasonable search and seizure. You have the right to tell these people no. And from there, it goes where it goes. Because period, point blank, they're supposed to ask permission. Can they search your car? Not step out of the car. I'm going to search your car. No. You have the right to say no. And from there, they need to know their protocols and procedures when they get told no. If they get hostile because they told no, they don't like the word no, and that's not my issue, because I have a right to tell you no. Just like you have a right to accept a testing of DUI. You do not have to. And if they proceed to want to use other levels of power that they so-called have, you have the right to go along with the flow and just spend one night in jail and be released by the end of the night and take it up with the courts or however it happens, or get let go off of false suspicions of things. It can go many different ways, but you have the right to say no, and don't ever forget that. It's just going to be some other interactions or other protocols or other words you're going to have to say after that, because they're going to feel some type of way. Instead of just saying, okay, well, you have a nice day. It won't be that simple. So again, try it, because I know I have. I'm not playing around with these people, because they're not really playing around with me either. The next thing is the Fifth Amendment. Most people, if you watch Wohl Out, you remember I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth is the Fifth Amendment. You have the right to remain silent, meaning like you don't say anything. They pull you over, you don't say nothing. Pretty much you like a deaf mute person at the end of the day. You just let them know you want to call your lawyer. You just keep saying lawyer. That's the only thing you could say. If they want to say, oh, you must be incriminating yourself, no, I just prefer not to come back words with you, so I don't incriminate myself. I'd rather my lawyer do it for me, so it's an easy breezy conversation between y'all two. I like the right to remain silent. It's pretty cool. Most people kind of forget to stay quiet because after a while, you got somebody in your face talking all day long. You want to say something. You want them to get out your face. So now we just talking smack back and forth. In this theory, U.S. citizens and non-citizens alike are protected by these rights. Though in this way, non-citizens can exercise them are limited in practice. So I say definitely look up many articles that go over this. There's some more good information regarding how to protect ourselves. So I'm just going through this article. There are many statutes in each state that provides additional protection or at least curb the behavior of police officers. And these are notes by a lady named Holly. Not really sure who she is, but I believe what she's saying is very true because I have practiced some of these myself. And also, I'm sure a lot of other people have too. She encourages people to research their state constitutions and statutes to see if there are additional protections regarding unreasonable search and seizure, excessive force. So the excessive force that they use on most of us, which is almost deadly and very aggressive and very painful and harmful to our body, very traumatizing to the mind and the emotions, that is technically very illegal. They're only supposed to use excessive force when their personal body feels threatened or is threatened in a harmful way. They do have the right to protect themselves just like we do. Filming the police, you can do that. The rights at all time, the rights at the time of the police officer stops you. The rights at the time the police officer, that's all it reads. And then the consent to search, so it's up to us to allow them to. And what are the rights at the time a police officer stops you? So for example, they're saying that Arizona has a stop and identify statute. There is a law enforcement stops you on the road. You are required to show identification upon request. But in Kentucky, among other places, no such law exists. So Kentucky sounds like a good place to be. They like a no law land, which sounds pretty cool. Many organizations have state-specific know your right material. If you want to know more about your protections you have where you live, that would be a good place to start, which is within your state-specific know your rights. Just look up your statutes and rights within your state and your county. They said there are different levels to an interaction with the police: conversation, detention, and arrest. So most of them know how to have a conversation. Most of them don't know how to have a conversation, and this is where a lot of things ends up getting really hectic, because some of them think that they just want to go straight to detention or straight to arrest, and that's not how life should really work. Like, it's almost like school: first warning, second warning, boom, now you're in detention, now you're being arrested. But let's see what this article is stating. The conversation phase is called the consensual encounter. In this phase, the police or the officer doesn't necessarily suspect or have evidence that a crime has occurred. So they're trying to find something. Hence why they sit there and they question you about your whole night or ask you to step out the car, because they're literally trying to find something to charge you on, which that's a waste of time half the time. And then it turns into excessive issues. So just like you can walk away from conversations with other people, you can walk away from the police if you are not being detained, which is phase 2. So if they're not detaining you, they're not going to arrest you, you have the right to ask them, may you leave. We probably saw this or heard this a few times when we were watching TV, like, okay, you're interviewing me, because there's a difference between being interviewed by the police officer and being interrogated. And half the time what they actually do, they're using interrogation tactics on us to make us clench up and get nervous and incriminate ourselves, when really it should start off with a simple interview, like, hi, what's your name, what do you do, like, are you aware why I stopped you, and all of those many positive things, that doesn't make it feel like, okay, by the end of the night I might be getting arrested, because they're trying to put the pressure on me. They want to know if I was drinking, they want to know if I was smoking. Like, the pressure just feels a lot different in interrogation. So look up the two, but it's a difference. They either are interrogating you, or they're either interrogating you or either giving you an interview. So you can simply ask to be respectful, am I free to leave? Or I'm going to leave. That's a demand, but be respectful. We're saying, hey, am I free to go now? You can ask them, are you being detained? Are you going to detain me? Because if not, guess what? I need to be on my merry way to continue the rest of my day. The officer should tell you at that point whether you are free to leave or whether they are detaining you for one reason or another. If you are not free to leave and you are being detained during this phase of the interaction, you are being held so the police can investigate any reasonable suspicion. And I'm basically reading this all quote, 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 quote. If you are stopped, stay calm. Don't volunteer too much information. You do not want to accidentally incriminate yourself underneath the Fifth Amendment. You have the right to remain silent. In the heat of the moment, it can be hard to distinguish what information can help and what will harm you. Another good topic it goes over, you don't have to consent to a search. If you opt out, make sure you verbally assert that right. Let them know, which is your Fourth Amendment, because they say remember the First, Fourth, and Fifth. So the Fourth Amendment, which lets you know that you have a right to say no to an unreasonable search and seizure. You can let them know that you feel like they don't have a reason or a good suspicion to search a vehicle. At this point in time, it's 2023. Weed, cocaine, some of these pills are all misdemeanor charges, which is nothing to the courts, to me personally, and they are literally a slap on the wrist, and they are literally can be a warning. It's a waste of time. Like, at the end of the day, those are not good causes to want to do any of those things, to be honest. Like, go find some federal issues, but again, you're just a state police officer. You're not a federal agent for real. So at the end of the day, that's not really that's not your caliber of things. That's why they always messing with people for misdemeanor things, just to, say, hey, I was out here protecting who? The government's property, so they think it is, or so they think we are to them. Technically, that's how I feel. None of that, like, it really matters. Like, come on now. Most people not even out here doing pills anymore, so that's really not a big deal. And if you are doing it, I'm sure it got prescribed to you. So there's a lot of people out here in pain and achy and all that great stuff. Please, they really don't have a reason to mess with nobody, to be honest. Everybody needs a desk job at this point in life. What they really need to be focusing on is like these kidnappings and these active shooters and patrolling hospitals and churches and schools. That's what they need to focus on. It seems like every time there's a school shooting, there's no police officers, but from 7 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock p.m., apparently we got security police officers outside or working in the building, but y'all not there when there's an active shooter. Like, what the fuck? I don't understand. Because I know I grew up with police officers inside the building and outside the building. Where the rest of the police officers? That's where you should be at. You should not be worrying about no fucking shoplifter or none of that stuff unless you get called for it. You need to be worrying about protecting real lives versus like messing up lives, because that's what it feels like. You don't have to consent to search. We went over that. If you are asked by the police if you can search you or your belongings, you have the right to say no underneath the Fourth Amendment. If you are opting to exercise that right, it is critical you verbally assert that you do not consent to their search and simply say, I do not consent. I understand it's a lot easier for them to say this than for people to do it in the moment. Be aware that the police generally won't ask you for your consent. It's more casual and easy to get flustered or confused and consent to a search without understanding what that could mean. But be on the lookout for that's a big word, iteration. I don't feel like trying to say that. Can I look at your stuff, for example? Can I look in your bag? The officer could ask for you to pop your trunk. And can you open up? Oh no, Lord have mercy, I'm not reading that. That's just way too much. There's no reason why they should be doing a full interrogation and a full search on everything. No, like you don't have no probable cause, you don't have no paperwork from your upper chain, because I heard when they want to literally raid your place, they have to have paperwork and documentations from the higher up to approve why they would think that they even need to do something of that stature. Like you must have been following someone for quite a while, doing a little stakeout before it gets to anything super personal. Like that's crazy. I'm not reading that. Y'all need to find this article and read it yourself. Be aware in some cases body language can signal consent, so be really mindful of your body language and the nonverbal cues that could be used in establishing your consent. You can do everything right and still have your rights violated. If this happens, try to stay hopeful that the courts of the law will uphold your rights, and get a lawyer and have documentation and evidence of these individuals so you can win a good case and probably get some money. So a lot of people have actually gotten money from the police violating their rights. So don't give up hope, y'all. Just stay in the fight. Fight Black Power, all that good stuff. If you don't consent to the search but the police officer does it anyway, don't resist. That could lead to charges against you. Save it for the court. Save it for your advocate to argue that what the officers did was unlawful and unconstitutional. If y'all paid attention, most cases actually got dropped or the police officer didn't show, and it happened like that for a reason, because either they were wrong or they were just too backed up and they had too many other cases. They probably got put on another call. They probably was off that day. They have so many different reasons why they don't show up to the court, and it's a good thing that happens, because it just gets dismissed and you get a little wipe across the forehead. You don't get no points, you don't get no ticket, you probably just gotta pay court fees, probably don't even gotta do that, because everything is just working in your favor because you did what you were supposed to do. And you really didn't, and you held your shit together. You hold your composure really well. The podcast version of this story was produced by Audrey. I think that's how you say it, but Nguyen. So I'm just going to spell this out for you. Audrey or Audrey. Audrey space Nguyen. So there's actually a podcast on this. In fact, check it out, by Julia Wohl, which is Julia space WOHL. and a legal reviewed by Kimberly Sullivan. So this article was well put together by 4 highly intelligent individuals that actually are in the legal field, and they would love to hear from people with random greetings, your name, your phone number, a random life tip at 202-216-9823. So again, there's people out here that really truly want to help protect our rights and our civil rights and our social rights and our constitutional rights. You just have to do your part of doing the research and staying educated, so that way you know that there's no real reason to get very violent with these individuals, and you can just take it to the courts. Just like they say, take it to the streets, just take it to the court. Get used to fighting for what you want and what you need in the courts, because that's where life-changing issues get taken care of, to be honest. As you win these cases and lose these cases, it goes down in the records. It's all over the internet. It's all over their books. You can actually ask for your court cases to be recorded. Literally, they do that typing all day long, but they don't have an audio recording, and you can ask for that too. And if not, you can ask not to proceed within your case until it's being recorded audioly. So again, the name of this paper is called "If You're Stopped by the Police, comma, you have the right to protect you, period. Here's what to remember." So the website is npr.org, and I definitely highly recommend you guys read this article and other more articles. They may help you protect you and your loved ones at all costs. Because even though we have like the fire department, EMS, and all of those great things, they're here to help a little bit, but some of them are really not to here to help. They're just here to do the job that they signed up for with the mission statement of whatever it is. So I say learn your state's police department mission statement, and when they're not following that mission statement, their values and cores and integrity are now like changing the face of what they're supposed to stand for, and they can easily contradict what it is that they say they're here to do. So instantly, boom, I feel like you got them, because your mission statement reads this, and out in the street you acting like this. So it's an embarrassment. That's why they don't like to do too many cases like that, because I feel like it makes the department look bad. It makes y'all look messy. It makes you look sloppy. It makes you look tacky, and it makes you look that's why a lot of their reputation has been diminished, and a lot of people don't give them a high ranking. If they had a survey on the police department, they would have very low ratings because of how they treat the public. And it's really, really sad within the districts that we live in. And most people know that DC has the worst jail system and the smallest jail system. And it's only because they really don't care about people like us. So they try to break us as much as they can. And because old slavery is kind of dead and gone, they had to find a new slavery type of action, and this is one way for it, through detainment and through being arrested. It's really sad, but other than that, stay sharp, stay educated, and that's my little information to you and my little stories, my little stories that I shared. And share your own stories, and share your own laws that you come across that you think people should know about too. It will really help the community and the youth. The youth don't know this unless we tell them. They're just out here. Our little poor babies are just out here running around doing whatever, God knows what. And then when they get into these altercations with these adults, like, things can go so south or it can go so north. And if they were just properly educated or warned. That's what I want to say. Like, just warned about the situations that could happen out in the streets. A lot of things, we would still have some of our youth today, because they're either locked up or probably got shot at, or they shot at the police. They hotheads. So again, I just say we really just want to keep the peace amongst everyone, and we really just want to compromise. And some of our babies are hotheads, so they gonna do what they want to do. And I think most of us should be proud of them, and also we should just want them to make a big change, because I feel like no matter what, it's always unconditional love. So they felt like they had to do what they had to do so they can get out of there, or to repay back, whoever they felt like got hurt by these people. You got to remember that there's some people that want revenge for a lot of different things, but you shouldn't do things on revenge. You should only do things for safety, protection purposes. I kind of believe that, because having a revengeful heart, like, that's a domino effect. You're going to always want revenge for things, and that's not how you should really live your life. So you always know, we got inboxes, we got emails, we got articles, you got mentors that really want to help out, big sisters, big brothers. Like, if you don't have an auntie, you got aunties out here that will be your auntie. Y'all just gotta be willing to open up and be able to listen and make a change. So I love you because I love myself, and y'all take care and stay safe and stay sharp. Knowledge is power, and don't forget that, because you will make these people feel intimidated, and that will make them mad. So smile and nod and, like, just know you winning. Just know.